According to equal pay activists, the difference in men's and women's salaries means women in the UK are effectively working for free from early November until the beginning of January. The UK's gender pay gap for full-time workers stands at nearly 9.4%, figures from the ONS show. That gap has narrowed slightly over the past year, but disparities in earnings for women continue, and many professional women feel strongly about it.
The gender pay gap isn't just about women getting what it is that they're rightfully entitled to. It's about also educating employers about how they can ensure that they are treating all their employees fairly.
I think that men are much more willing to fight their corner when it comes to pay and actually trying to challenge the status quo.
The pay imbalance exists worldwide. And since October, when Microsoft Chief Executive Satya Nadella backtracked on his suggestion that women rely on good karma to get a pay rise, debate has escalated about why the pay gap matters and what needs to be done.
Well, the pay gap matters because diversity delivers results, and as long as women are not represented in senior roles and are paid less than men when they are, organizations will not be delivering the best results they could. And all the studies show that. Well, there are really two things that I think companies need to do. One is set a target, right? Because that's how we get things done in business, right? So if you want to move the needle on the number of women you have in senior positions, you have to know how many you have now and how many more you want to have 2 years from now. And the second thing is about transparency. So it's not enough to set a target. You've got to be transparent about what percentage of women do you have at the junior, middle, and senior levels of your organization, and what do you pay them versus men.
Some companies have radical policies in place already. This London-based recruitment consultancy, for example, has an open pay policy.
Women are still paid just over 10% less than men. And I would say the reason for that isn't that large organisations consciously decide they're going to pay women less than men. I don't think that happens very much now. But if they can get women cheaper than men, because when they're offering the salary they can get away with paying less, that problem is perpetuated. That can't happen here because female employees would know what their male counterparts are being paid, and I think they'd be rightly very upset about it if they realised that something was wrong.
But not all employers are prepared to act. So what can individual women do? It starts with their first job.
Really, if you don't ask, you don't get. So being bold, having the self-confidence to be able to negotiate, and a recognition that it's not just the final figure that is important. Actually, the whole package needs to be considered, particularly when the individual thinks about what they want to get out of their career over the long term.
What about women in the middle of their careers? How might they ask employers for more pay?
Make use of the statistics available to you. So use surveys such as CMI's Gender Pay Gap Survey that show what are you being paid, what are males being paid in your industry. If you expect that there's a discrepancy or suspect there's a discrepancy, talk to your line manager and say, I'm sure we don't have a problem here, but is there some data you could show me?
I think you need to work out what your value is, what your brand is, work out what you will deliver back to the business, and then be confident to go back, find those people in the business that you think need those skills and get them to sponsor you and help fight your corner as well.
Absolutely go in knowing your worth and having done your homework.
Employers and governments know that closing the gender pay gap makes good business sense. But in the UK and elsewhere, it is unlikely that women will be paid as much as their male colleagues by next November. Clarke, Financial Times, London.